Are we live? We are. Right. Let me see where I am. Work out what's going on today. I have a feeling before we start, one of my lights is going to go out in a minute, so it might go a bit darker in the screen. Hopefully it won't affect it too much. We'll have to keep an eye. It's been an intermittent problem, so I think there's something wrong with it. It might need replacing. So that's going to go in a minute. I can feel it without jinxing it. So yes, welcome to this week's, first one in a couple of weeks, Natural Gardening Live with me, Josie Rainbow, your natural gardening coach. And today we are talking about, what are we talking about today? We are talking about, this is Natural Gardening Live, we're talking about about wild gardens. So how, get my words out, we're talking about wild gardens and how this can support the overall health and the life that lives in your garden, the overall health of your garden. So I've got 5 easy, sort of low cost to no cost, actually, ways you can modestly rewild your garden without, I knew it would go. I knew it wouldn't last long. It's not too bad though. I can still see me. The light behind me is still on. I think we're all right. And also, I've moved my microphone as well. So let me know if you can hear me and that you can see me okay. Write in the comments for me. No, put the comments up so I can see. So got 5 easy, low or no cost things that you can do to modestly rewild your garden without losing the practicalities and the useful space, or usable space, if you like. So that's what we're talking about today. Get my water. So I is ready. It is a little bit darker now. I am sorry. Hopefully it's not too bad. You can still see me okay. So let me know in the comments if any of these the things I'm going to be talking about in a moment before we get there. Let me know if you do any of them in the garden. And if you've got a wild area in your garden at all, if you've got any kind of wilding area, if you, even the tiniest corner of your garden, if you've got a bee hotel or bee insect hotel, if you want to call it, in your garden somewhere with some stones and sticks put together, anything that's going to support the wildlife that live in your garden. So let me know in the comments if you do any of that. It'd be interesting to see what people do, whatever they do. So, So what does it mean? What do I mean by wild garden or rewilding your garden? So a wild garden, also known as like a wildlife garden, is an environment created by a person, gardener, farmer, anything like that, that serves as a sustainable haven for the surrounding wildlife. So the wildlife and insects and things that live in your garden, this is the sustainable haven for them. So that is kind of what a wild or wildlife garden is. So rewilding is when you restore an area of land. So it could be like a garden, for instance, a patch of garden. Hit my microphone. A patch of garden, a field, a building site. If you've got a car park, anything like that, rewilding, restoring an area of land to its natural uncultivated state. So you can let nature take over and sort of do its thing, which is often quite a lot nicer than what was there originally. So where did I get to? So yes, so that is what I mean by a wildlife garden, wild garden, and rewilding as well for a space. So you're basically creating a natural ecosystem that will on its own transform the space, send it back to how it should look or would have looked if we hadn't interfered. So this process can often offer a huge, this is what happens to my brain when I've had a couple of weeks off. It just goes to mush. This process can often offer a huge range of benefits to the surrounding area, including your garden. And this is what we're talking about today, different benefits and things as well. It can offer a huge range of different benefits. There can also be quite a lot of life-changing benefits when it comes to the insects and wildlife that live in your garden as well. They can often offer a lot of benefits. So the benefits can let's start again, shall we? Let's just start again. Light's not working. Words aren't working. We're starting again. So what benefits can rewilding your garden offer you? Rewilding can actually attract in pollinators and beneficial insects into your garden. This will help to improve the health of your plants, providing pest control, encouraging stronger crops, fruit, seeds, that kind of thing, and for new plants for the following year as well. So this is really important. So it's a healthier garden all round, and then you're going to get more plants from the seeds that are set for the following year. So there's a real knock-on effect. With this, rewilding your garden can also provide support to the soil and the ecosystem within the soil as well. So all the bugs and beasties that live in the soil, rewilding can actually, with the different plants that you grow, can actually support the soil as well, which is really important because, as we know, soil is the foundation of your garden. And with good soil comes a very healthy and happy garden. Less work for you. So soil is important. So when I get to so blah blah blah, support the ecosystem with the soil to feed your garden throughout the growing year. So as the wildflowers, so much as the wilding part of your garden, as it takes off, as they grow and thrive, the soil is supported. I'll put that down. I'm not going to get a drink. The soil gets supported. The ecosystem within the soil gets supported. The insects that will process the organic matter in the soil to feed your plants and support the root systems as well, protect them from pests and disease, will feed the roots as they go as well. They are all supported in this whole wilding circle of life, if you like. Trying not to sound like a cliche, the circle of life. But yes, I love it. I've lost where I am now. Apologies. Here we go. So, as I say, this is just scratching the surface today. There is an awful lot more I could talk about. I will be talking about obviously the 5 ways in a minute, but there is an awful lot more detail I can put on this as well. But I'm just trying to scratch the surface for you today. And I will probably do a bit more on this another day as well, because it is so important. And coming to spring is a really good time to be thinking about it. So the insects and wildlife who call your garden their home, and the creatures who live in this environment, they are natural predators to, we're talking about pest control. My phone's going off. Apologies. It shouldn't make a noise. No, it does make a noise. And the insects and wildlife who call your garden their home, they're natural predators to a lot of the pests that will feed on your plants. So we've talked about this before. And with all these wild flowers that you can grow in a wild area, the different plants that you wouldn't normally grow when you let them go native and grow wild, they're all supported and they all attract in these predators. So the natural defense system will be supported quite nicely there. And you won't have to worry about it so much, which is really good. So here are, this is what you've been waiting for, I know. Excuse the croak. So here are the 5 easy, low to no cost things you can do to modestly rewild your garden without losing the practical or usable space that we so value when it comes to garden space. So number 1, and if you're watching me from the group, from, I can see you, Lisa. Hello, Lisa. I can read the comments in a moment when I'm less distracted. So yes, if you're watching from the group, I will be putting these points in a post and putting them in the group as through the week, so you can see those. So don't worry about taking notes or anything now, or rewatching or whatever you want to do. That is fine. They will be in the thing. So I will try and do a post for YouTube as well. So if you watch me on YouTube, I'm trying to do a post in the community on there so you can see each point as well. So hopefully that covers that. Number 1. Yes, we'll do number 1. So number 1. You don't need a huge area of open ground. A container will do nicely. So this means if you fill a container with compost, fill it with soil, and then sow some wild flower seeds, or even some clover, a clover mix, these will attract in a huge number of, a variety of different beneficial insects to your garden, from pollinators through to predators, to maintain, as we were talking about just now, maintain the pest control in your garden as well. Clover plays a huge, fantastic role in your garden. If you don't grow that in containers and grow that in the ground, clover in the lawns aren't a bad thing, as much as people try and remove all the weeds from the lawn. Clover in the lawn isn't a bad thing, because part of the legume family, they do fix nitrogen into the soil. As we know, grass is all green. Grass needs a lot of nitrogen, especially in the spring, summertime. So having the clover living alongside the grass actually helps to support the grass and keep it growing strong and giving it all the nitrogen that it needs throughout the year. So you don't have to feed it, which is amazing. So clover isn't a bad thing to have in your lawn, just saying. Right, so yeah, so just having a container of wildflowers in your garden can make a huge amount of difference to the beneficial insects you attract into the garden. And it doesn't have to take up a massive space either. So it's really nice just to have maybe one or two just, decent size pots or a trough or something sat in the garden that you wouldn't normally grow anything in. It might be in an area of your garden that's slightly, it's out of the way. You wouldn't have thought about it. So having something growing there, the bees and the butterflies and all the different insects, the ladybirds and things, are still going to find it. They're still going to get there. So it's really nice way of using that space. So as I say, you don't need a huge open piece of ground. You can use a container. It works just as well. And you've probably got one lying around somewhere that you haven't used. You can't find a use for. Everybody has a pot of some sort they don't know what to do with. So, number 2, try not to mow your lawn. Now, I know this is kind of a Marmite one. There's you like it or you hate it kind of thing. But they do the like no mow May and things like that. So we've got dogs, so this isn't always practical for us, like a lot of other people. We like to keep our lawn short because it's more practical when you keep dogs, to keep it tidy and clean. So we have an area across the other side of our garden. We've got a little stream, so we have a bridge and a little area across the other side of the garden that we let go a little bit more wild. We don't mow it as strictly. We have areas of that we just let go. So that's my compromise. The garden, the lawn closer to the house is for the dogs. We keep that short and happy. Everyone's happy on that front. Clean, tidy, dogs are happy. And then we have the wilding area across the way, which we let go a little bit more. Again, you don't have to go all out for this. You don't have to be like your entire lawn area has to be left for whatever period of time you don't want to mow for. You can just do a small space. You can have a corner by your shed or at one strip across from the fence line or something that will just provide a little bit of support. You don't have to go all or nothing. It can just be a contribution. So as I say, like we've got half the lawn area that's nice and tidy, and we've got another area that's a bit more wild. So there's a little compromise to it. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. But not mowing your lawn is a very quick and effective way of growing some nice native wildflowers, especially like grasses as well, daisies, things like that. So not mowing your lawn. And I say that's not only is that low cost or no cost, it's effortless as well. It saves you doing a job. So I can feel I've got a croak. So that was number 2. Number 3. Can't find number 3. Apologies. My notes are all over the place. Number 3. Leave a patch of nettles or weeds to grow tall and flower. So I love this one. Again, it's effortless. Sorry, scratch my foot. Nettles for me are the win for this one. I always leave a patch of nettles, quite a few patches actually across the way, that I use to make my liquid feed for the tomatoes. So my like nettle liquid feed. So I do that, but nettles are really good for attracting butterflies. They like to lay their eggs on the nettles. They red admirals and things like that, and painted ladies I think do as well. So having nettles is a good one for this, but there's all sorts of different weeds that you can just leave to let grow. You can keep them in a tidy bunch. You don't have to like have great swathes of nettles growing everywhere. You can keep them in a tidy bunch. I try and keep them as together as I can. And when I cut them anyway to make the feed, they come up quite tidy anyway. So it's nice. But having them there, it really is good support for the insect life as well. And they flower quite nicely as well. So they produce an awful lot of nectar. And if you ever watched a nettle, when they're giving off their pollen, they kind of puff and it fluffs out. It's really interesting to watch if you're sad enough and you want to sit there and stare at a nettle for 5 minutes. There's probably videos on YouTube. You can watch them. Someone's done a slow motion. But they're quite interesting to watch. So yes, so leaving patches of weeds to grow tall and flower. That's a very good way of doing it. So I'll say nettles are very good, but there are all sorts of weeds that you can leave. I've lost where I am now. Number 4. I am dreadful. I'm sorry. Ditch the chems. So this one seemed an obvious one to me, and I should have put it at number 1, but I thought no, the other two are actually like have no effort involved in them at all, and I think you'd appreciate them more. So ditching the chems, if you're in my audience and you've been in my world for more than 5 minutes, this should be forefront in your mind anyway, because that's what I talk about all the time. So ditching the chems by removing the use of chemicals in your garden. Chime in here if you'd like to cheer with me. Removing the use of chemicals in your garden and supplements and pesticides and weed killers, you're removing the risk of damage to your garden. Full stop. End of sentence. These products, don't get me wrong, these products do have a focused and effective rate of control, but they also cause an awful lot of damage and are very detrimental to with knock-on effects as it goes through the year and years to go as well. So excuse me if I rant just a smidge now. I have got some notes that I try and follow, but I will go off on a rant. I can feel it. So with the knock-on effects, it affects the ecosystem within your sort of garden, your soil, the whole lot. So it completely knocks it off balance. Like all systems that work smoothly without our intervention, and balance is crucial for your garden, for the natural ecosystem within your garden, for it to work, keep your garden healthy, maintain pest control, the health of your garden, that sort of thing. Balance is key. So if you kill off an insect that's an aphid, for instance, that's on your roses, if you kill that with chemicals, you're then perhaps going to kill a ladybird or ladybird larvae that's eating the aphids. This could be from the contact with the chemical. This could be the fact that there's nothing for them to eat anymore. So one way or another, that it will have a knock-on effect to the predator, the natural predator that would be eating the aphid. This will also have a further knock-on effect that ladybirds will be less likely to visit your garden if you've got nothing for them to eat. So as much as you want to kill off all of the aphids in the garden, balance, as I say, is key. So you want to keep a few of them in your garden to keep the predators coming in to support your garden, the health of your garden, and keep everything ticking over nicely. So it's using a chemical tends to have a blanket effect. I haven't seen one yet that specifically targets one particular type of insect. They will always affect all insects that they come in contact with. It just is what it is. I know weed killers can be a little bit more like broadleaf or annual or systemic and things like that. They can be a bit more specific. They still have a broad effect as well. So they still leave residue in the soil, which will still affect the ecosystem of the soil, will affect your plants that you grow in the soil for years to come. So it's the knock-on effect that causes the damage as much as using the actual product. I tried to keep that rant to a minimum. Can you feel it? I was holding it back the entire time. Now, I'll throw this one in for good measure as well. Even though it's not ready yet, I have spoken an awful lot about this. I think I've done a chapter on this in my book when it comes out. So that release date is to be confirmed still. Bear with me, I will get there. But there is an awful lot more on the effects that chemicals can have on the ecosystem of your garden and how to maintain balance. Resilience and restore balance in your garden. So what are we on? Number 5. Oh, crikey, we're on number 5. I thought I ranted a bit too much there. I've lost number 5. There's number 5. Okay, number 5, planting perennials. We have shot through this today. Apologies. It's because I haven't got the light on. I blame it on the light. So number 5. This can be a great way, planting perennials. This can be a great way to provide early season and late season as well, nectar for pollinators visiting your garden. So we talk about having like early spring food for the birds, for the pollinators that visit your garden, like dandelions and things. You don't want to be spraying or killing off dandelions or putting up dandelions because they're the first ones to sort of flower. So the bees go to them. They're one of the earlier nectar providers. And then you've got things like ivy that will flower later in like the autumn, and that will provide bees with nectar later in the year. So that helps. But there are a variety of different perennials, if you plant perennials, that will elongate the season as well when it comes to providing nectar and pollen for the pollinators of your garden. So perennial fruit and veg can help to extend the food growing year as well. So I've gone through it all now. So yeah, perennial fruit and veg can extend the food growing year and support the soil, because if you've ever heard of a no-dig garden, the more you turn the soil over, the more it disturbs the ecosystem of the soil. It has to then settle again once you've planted, has to then settle again, recover before they can start doing their job again of providing food and supporting the root system of your plants. So by having perennial fruit and veg growing, you're not digging and replanting so much, you're not disturbing the soil so much. The ecosystem within the soil can then develop and grow, and then the root systems of your plants can be maintained and kept healthy, and there can be lots and lots and lots of food being made all the time. So it's really much better way to go having perennial fruit and veg growing as much as you can than it is to have lots of annuals. I know you can't get away from annuals because there are an awful lot of fruit and veg that are annual, but perennial fruit and veg are a good way to go as well. And they're an investment. You don't have to worry about them so much, and they're better for the garden. Can't go wrong, really. I've lost where I am now. Perennial plants. Fruit and veg. Soil. Trees and shrubs. There we go. So talk on the elongated kind of seasons and everything. Trees and shrubs can also provide homes. Oh yeah, homes as well. Okay, that's a different way of going with this. But trees and shrubs can provide a lot of nectar for a longer period of time as well through the year, because trees tend to have an awful lot of flowers on them, even if you can't always see them, because tree flowers can sometimes be insignificant and you can't sort of see them, but they can lengthen the nectar year as well. So homes as well, they can also provide homes for birds, which is really important. Trees have a very good way, and shrubs have a very good way of reducing the water level in your garden as well. So in the winter time, to prevent your soil either getting waterlogged or leaching nutrients out from the soil, trees can really help to stabilize what's going on in the soil as well. So I know technically they're a perennial, they're a tree, they come back each year, especially they're evergreen. But yes, so trees and shrubs are also very effective on this as well. That's a little sidebar I put in the bottom there. So I think that was the end. That was number 5, wasn't it? Yes, so that's number 5. I do apologise today for being incredibly scatty. I got thrown by my light not working. Happy light. Got thrown by my light not working, and my brain isn't quite active after having 2 weeks of not doing any lives. So we're doing well today. Next week will be better, I promise. So let me know in the comments if you are or have got any of those 5 in your garden already, or you're doing them already, or you're thinking about doing them this year. Let me know. If you're in the group, look out for the posts, because I'll be putting those up this week. At some point this week, I'll have them scheduled for you, which is fine. If you're on YouTube, if you are new to the channel, welcome. Hello. If you would like to join the group, there will be a link in the description of this video, of this live. Please do all the YouTube things of liking and subscribing. That'd be wonderful. I appreciate it, because if everybody who likes, I can see that it's good content. And as much as I'm scatty and as much as my brain isn't working today, I like to see that I'm producing good content for you. Again, if you're watching in the group, tell me it's good, give me feedback. Yes, everything's appreciated. So yes, this is all for today, and all for today, excuse me. Thank you for joining me. Look out for the posts in the group. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching the group, go to YouTube and subscribe. And I will catch you next week for a slightly longer episode. One that my brain is working, and one that will make more sense to you, I'm sure. So have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful evening, and I will catch you later. See you later.